fucking text.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Okechukwu Matthew. I'm the convener of my Dialogue TV, and this is actually the first of its kind. Today we'll be having our guest, Mr. Gabriel Eze. He's actually the founder of Touchable Pictures, a platform that allows you to search and also shop online on pictures too. So welcome, Mr. Gabriel Eze.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we'll be very brief about this, and I would like to also ask you some few questions concerning your startup and also the startup ecosystem within the country itself. So my first question is, tell me about your education background.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for having me. My name is Gabriel Eze. I like the emphasis. Okay, so I studied mechanical engineering.
Okay.
In fact, the automotive engineering option is what I studied. Okay. If you see my degree, it's BEng Automotive Engineering. And from there, I did my MBA from National Open University, which I haven't completed, by the way.
Okay.
The hustle took away my attention. Then I am currently enrolled on Udacity for AI programming with Python. I should be awarded my certificates by first or second week of next month.
Okay.
Yeah. Then most of the skills I have are self-learned, so they are not exactly academic-wise. So I started my career as a designer.
Okay.
So I'm very good with graphic design. Then I sort of transitioned to coding, started writing HTML, JavaScript, PHP, and then somehow precipitated to Python. All these are things I learned from the free resources online.
Okay.
And then gradually into AI systems.
Okay. So the next question I want to ask is, why did you decide to go into tech?
Why did I decide to go into tech?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Well, first of all, I think tech was something accidental for me. I've always liked to do business, and I think if I'm to put it this way, tech for me was a business enabler. I didn't go into tech. I was more into the entrepreneurial thing, trying to create a new opportunity, create a job for myself, and also possibly create a job for other people. That has been my drive from day one. But tech somehow made it easier for me to do business.
Yeah.
So, and instead of relying on people all the time to get things done, especially when you're in a fast-paced journey, it's best you learn the tech skills yourself. That way you could manage your progress. And I always insist that what cannot be measured cannot be managed. So if I have to rely on someone who I cannot manage, right, I cannot measure my progress from there. I had that initial hiccup very much earlier in my life, where you have to depend on someone to get something done, like either coding or stuff like that, and they don't deliver.
Okay.
So because of that, I was like, I can do this. I mean, most of my life I learned new skills in a couple of weeks, sometimes a couple of months. So I can do this. So that's really my motivation behind joining tech.
Okay. So when did you actually decide that you want to actually start Touchable Pictures?
It was there were cascades of events that led to the decision to start Touchable. So there was this fellowship of Christians who I stayed with at the time. So we were just, and then this lady, we were talking about Instagram, social media, social commerce, and then she was saying that she has this thing that always she sees something she likes on Instagram, and she goes to the comment section and say, what's this bag? I like it. Can I buy it? How much? And she has seen other persons go through that same process where you are asking for something you saw in a picture in the comment section, but nobody replies you. So while she was ranting, she said something like, why don't you software guys build something like a software that if I see something I like in a picture, I can just touch it and it tells me what it is. And then she kept talking, but that moment was like, this is what I should build, right? Because I already started building something on pictures 4 years ago. But now she was like, this is her problem. And I've heard my sister say the same thing. I've heard a couple of ladies say the same thing. I'm like, this is a problem that I need to solve.
Yeah.
Instead of building an Instagram clone, I should build something that can solve this problem for her. So for me, that was the inflection point. I'm like, okay, how do I get this done? How do I get this done? I was researching. I've never heard of AI at the time.
Okay.
You know, so I was just like researching, trying to do. But there was this thing we built at the time called Targetive. That was the first version of Touchable, but there was no AI. Someone has to manually tag the things in the picture and stuff. And
each team have a role on what to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So eventually, I now stumbled on a Python library called Open Computer Vision.
Okay.
And it was this guy that I was in Lagos at the time, Yoda.
Yoda.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of Yoda.
Oladapo. He's the founder of Great Systems.
Okay.
So I was doing consulting for them at the time. So he mentioned OpenCV. And then I googled it. I'm like, wow, this is what I'm looking for. I've never written Python. If I don't know what Python is at the time, so I just started learning about Python, learning how I actually do this, and then eventually somehow, it materialized into Touchable. And even the name itself was hard to come by. You know, I can't remember how it came about, but Touchable was like, from what the woman said, eventually we're like, let's call it Touchable. And then we took out the E in Touchable because for me, I don't like excuses, and E is for excuse. So we just removed the E. We just removed the E.
That's creative.
So people keep asking me, why is there no E? I'm like, I don't like excuses, so I took out the E. Yeah. So that's how we sort of came about it.
So basically, are your interests connected to the problem you're solving right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my interest, most like I said, I'm always in the business side of things, and businesses exist to solve problems.
Okay.
So if I see a problem, that's where my interest is. How do I solve this problem? And after solving the problem, how do I monetize my solution? Now I don't put. I usually used to put the cart before the horse, like put the solution, monetizing the solution first before solving the problem. But right now, I feel I'm in a place where business should begin from the point of solving a problem.
You do. So I'm also aware that you own a hub, and I would like to know how you're able to balance your time, because I know your hub is in Port Harcourt here, and you located to Abuja. So how are you able to balance your time with your hub and your startup?
I used to own a hub.
Okay.
Yeah. The hub is now in the ownership of, and it has a new owner at the moment. So, but I used to. But at the time, it was fun because it's a tech hub, and having a tech hub also allows you to gather the kind of people you would like to work with. It is not in the opposite direction to your business, right?
Okay.
A tech hub is where techies and tech people sort of gather to work. So if you ever have a problem in your own product, like Touchable, your startup, you can easily go into that pool of talent and find someone who can help out with so it's not a problem. And then the thing about management is it's mostly the secret to successfully managing anything. It's in measurement. To answer your question, management is easy if you can measure the key things that determine your growth as a startup.
So I want to know what challenges did you experience when you started Touchable?
Yeah, the first and the most prominent one was human resources, human capital. So at the time, the first time we tried Touchable, it was something alien to me, like I said.
Okay.
I didn't know beforehand that AI or computer vision was the thing that can solve the problem. So finding people who know OpenCV, for instance, was nearly impossible as of 2015.
Okay.
For me, I did try, but I could not find, which was why I have to try and learn this thing myself.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the first one, getting the kind of capital, human capital you need to solve that problem. Then the second one is funding. I know a lot of, investors or people who have money will keep telling you, try and find a way to monetize from day one. And the thing is that for any startup that you can monetize from day one, someone can easily clone it.
Okay.
So it's not about monetizing from day one. It's about having the structure and the financing to run fast.
Okay. So were there any points when you were starting that you actually felt like giving up?
A lot of there were a lot of times I felt like just packing up. I can't even count the number of times those happened. You know, I don't even know where to start. But there were a lot of times when I'm trying to pick one very prominent example. Okay, so there was this time when we were trying to build the first version of Touchable, the app, and for about 8 months we could not get the app to work on most devices.
Wow.
So, and also one of the challenges then was the tool that my co-founder chose at the time was React, and React as at 2015, I think 2015, 2016, I'm not sure of the year, was still kind of coming up, and most of the components we needed for the app was not available. In fact, we built some of the components that are on the React library today.
Okay.
That we built it in-house and then contributed it back to the React community.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was like my most difficult time, because at the time I was bleeding financially to keep things running, but there was nothing to show for it. Like week in, week out, month in, month out, you are spending money, but then there is nothing to show for it. So for me, that was a very traumatizing moment.
Okay. So what advice can you actually give to people who are about to start their startups?
Okay, I would say maybe think in terms of first principles when you want to start. Not just start up anything. Okay. What are the foundation holding that thing you want to start? What are the components that if you took out any of them, this thing is going to fail? Optimism doesn't work with startup. I shouldn't have said that. Okay. Optimism doesn't work. You need to be pessimistic to be able to succeed, because pessimism brings out all the gaps that you would not see. It's easier for you to want to start a startup and you have this beautiful idea, and then you start romancing the idea. You feel like this thing has to work. When you begin to think like that, you are stopping yourself from identifying gaps that will make you fail. So try and be pessimistic when you are starting a startup. That's the first one.
Okay.
The second one is education is very important. In as much as startup has been sort of designed in a way that looks like a getaway, a shortcut from the unemployment market, it's not. You still need to be able to understand the market that you are trying to operate in. So for instance, business model, it is one of the most important components of a startup. If you don't have a business model in the beginning, like a real business model, you will fail. And if you are not educated, you will not understand what a business model is, because of the terms there are academic terms.
So my final question is, how do you think the government can support startups in the ecosystem?
The honest truth is that the government cannot. In fact, I may even say may never be able to support the startup ecosystem in a way that is sustainable. So why I said that is because government is a policy-driven institution, and if the foundation of the way government runs is not sustainable, any project built on top of government cannot survive as well.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. This is actually the final round of today's show. I also want to thank you for coming all the way from Abuja to this show today. It's actually a pleasure, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I also want to thank Holygist. Holygist is actually the partner, people partnering with us for this show. I also want to thank them for this.
Thank you, Holygist, for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Scrolling through these motherfucking texts.